Hi, this is Eternal King bringing you another LOR video today. So I wanted to talk about the new champions from the most recent expansion. Talking about their viability, because we've talked a lot about stories. We've kind of acknowledged that stories are OP, that they are essentially reviving even older champions and making them viable again. They're insane value in both formats, and they're very, very powerful. But we haven't talked much about the new champions. So let's start with my favorite new champion, Lux Illuminated. I kind of like everything that this card is doing in terms of what she represents as a 3-mana play. A lot of 3-mana plays that we've seen previously are kind of just powerful in a nutshell. They're just like, I'm a vanilla powerful card. My name is Lulu. I give things, I support my supported ally grows to 4/4. I'm just good, powerful 3-drop. Misfortune. I'm just a good, powerful 3-drop. I pew pew things. I attack. I'm aggressive. LeBlanc. I'm a 5/2 with quick attack. Katrina. I let you rally infinitely. It's just Rek'Sai. I'm just a big overwhelmed boy. Like traditionally 3-mana champions. Zed. I'm a 2-body 3/2 with quick attack. Traditionally, 3-mana champions have just been kind of vanilla powerful cards that are just good on their own and require very little synergy or supports to be powerful. Lux Illuminated is pretty much as far from that as humanly possible. So let's talk about flexibility of Lux Illuminated. I've shown off my Poro deck previously. I think that's very good. But let's talk about like suboptimal Lux Illuminated constructions. So let's say you just want to jam Lux Illuminated in a deck as just like a champion that does a thing. It is possible to do so. So it is mainly thanks to the power of Inspiring Light. Inspiring Light grants all allies spirit, and without this card, I think Lux Illuminated would be bad. Just like in a vacuum, if they did not change the way that Inspiring Light works, I don't think you would play Lux Illuminated ever, just pretty much ever. But thanks to the change to Inspiring Light, Lux Illuminated is a very flexible card. As long as you're playing a archetype that can go wide sufficiently, Mirai Warden, Petty Officer, Island Navigator, as long as you're just playing a deck that spams 2 bodies every turn, and also, maybe run some attunes, so you can get Inspiring Light out faster, as long as you're playing a deck that can go wide sufficiently, and grant everything spirit, Lux Illuminated is an okay card to run. That's all you need to do, is you just need to play Inspiring Light on a go-wide board, and then you need to play Aberrant Mage Seeker on a go-wide board, and then all of a sudden, Lux Illuminated is a great card. That's all it really needs. In terms of her flexibility. Like, basically, you just want to take the best parts of Lux Illuminated and transplant them into an established archetype. You can do that, thanks to the power of these cards, specifically Aberrant Mage Seeker and Inspiring Light, going into, what is basically a Scout's archetype, with a bit more of a focus on go wide strategies and Jagged Taskmaster, giving all your 1-drops +1. That sort of thing, but otherwise pretty straightforward Scouts list. Obviously, in a deck like this, you're not as interested in Quinn because you're running Mage Seeker on 5. You're a little more interested in drawing cards and spawning because, again, this deck is very low to the ground, so you can run out of steam very quickly in Eternal. You'll find that card value and drawing is just like much better in Eternal than in Standard overall. So even in a deck like this, I'm pretty happy to run Eye of Nakaboros with the likes of the Attune cards, Shell Shocker, Grumble Slug, things like that. And then finally we have Genevieve. So Genevieve is the best payoff card for Scouts, always has been, always will be. And obviously in a go-wide strategy like this, Genevieve essentially being a 6-mana equivalent of Mage Seeker. So having Mage Seeker and Genevieve in the same deck just happens to be very, very good. Very good. So that's Lux Illuminated in a nutshell, is that like you have Inspiring Light, you have Aberrant Mage Seeker, and then you have Lux Illuminated herself. Those 3 cards essentially being strong enough and flexible enough to transplant into any deck that exists as just like solid mid-range Demacia stuff, and being highly transferable, the most transferable and powerful cards in her kit. Other champions that I think are good, obviously Vex. We've talked a lot about Vex being good. she basically fits in to any mid-range Shadow Isles type strategy that you can think of. She's very quickly showing up as the new champion of choice for Elder Dragon decks. Very, very quickly showing up as the mid-range champion of choice for Elder Dragon decks. And it is exactly what I've talked about previously, where, like, she's just a card, right? She's just a 5/4 card that can grant things gloom when she swings and requires resources from your opponent to kill her. And meanwhile, the resources on your end are non-existent to play her. You just run her and let her die, and let her swing once. And that's all she needs to do to get value. And then obviously the key cards in her kit are things like Glare. It's just, you know, it's like a pokey stick, so that makes it a good card. Instantly a good card. And in this specific deck, we're just running Grim, because Grim, you know, being the 6-mana card that is just better thanks to Elder Dragon, because you get the 4 Gloom play skill, but then you also get a little buff to Grim, making her a slightly better card. And so again, like, what you're seeing is that, like, there are transferable pieces in both the Lux Illuminated deck and the Vex deck that are just kind of universally okay. They're just universally good. I don't want to undersell them. They're just good. They're just the core cards of what make the archetype function that can go in anything. And that is, you know, kind of the power of these new champions, whether it is Lux Illuminated, whether it is Vex, is that they kind of function independently of their kits. Which means that you can run them with very little of their core package, and they are still exceptionally powerful in that capacity. I think the only champion that I struggle with personally, that I haven't figured out yet, and I will endeavor to figure out, is Lilia. Lilia is the only card where I'm like, I don't understand her yet, and that's on me because I haven't played a lot of, you know, Hourglass decks, and essentially Lilia is an Hourglass generator. She just generates infinite Hourglasses in Ionia, and your ability to capitalize off of Lilia is entirely independent, or entirely dependent on your ability to capitalize off of cards like Hourglass and Shurima. That doesn't mean that she's tied to the Shurima region, not at all. It just means that you need to understand those interactions. So, for example, I think one of the best things Lilia can do is double play a champion. Just like flat out of the gate, talking about one of the most broken things she can do is just double playing any champion. So if you were to play like Lilia with Caitlyn, you could have 2 Caitlyn's on the board very, very easily. If you wanted just kind of like a decent mid-rangey package in Eternal, you could run Caitlyn, Lilia, one's a 3/2 quick attacker, one's a 3/3 quick attacker, and then you can just have more Caitlyn's on the board, which is good because Caitlyn's a good card in terms of value generation and her swinging and getting value and things like that. But other interactions with Lilia are more complicated, and I think that's where, like, in terms of the long-term lifespan of this expansion, a lot of it's going to be Lilia dependent. Because, again, I've got Lux Illuminated figured out. I've got Vex figured out as one of the top players in Eternal. Lilia, you know, still haven't figured it out yet. It's the last, you know, challenge I need to undertake. What are the core cards in her package? What is it that makes her strong and independently strong in terms of, you know, transplanting her into other established archetypes? And the answer is I just don't know yet. But I'm excited to figure it out. Talking about PvP, kind of going forward, we're not getting any new expansions after this for the next little while at least. But there is going to be a lot of competitive ranked ladder activity. Standard rotation, basically Eternal being active every 2 months. We're going to have a lot of competitive opportunities to play the extended card pool of LOR. And again, I've always had the opinion that, like, we've had a lot of expansions in this game. We've had a great deal of expansions in this game. Look at all this stuff. Look at all these cards. And I own every single one of them. Just look at me. This is me mouse wheeling through the entire card pool of LOR. It's massive. For a Hearthstone style digital card game, you know, a CCG, the card collection in this game is massive. The deck building possibilities are infinite. Whether it is the new cards or it is, you know, old cards interacting with the new cards, or just like cards that don't see much, you know, much play. things like Chemtech Drake, right? Like there's just like a lot of epics in this game that people just like don't really utilize, myself included. And so this is kind of the one that I think of as like one of the most memey of the epic cards. But you know, there's probably a home for it in Eternal somewhere. So this is Eternal King signing out. I think the new expansion has been fantastic for LOR in terms of diversifying the play space, in terms of the secret meta, in terms of these new landmark cards. Just everything that you knew about the game has essentially been flipped on its head to some extent or another. And that's an amazing thing. So this is Eternal King signing out. I will work on some Lilia decks in the future, so feel free to stay tuned to Runeterra AR. I've been providing a lot of great Lux Illuminated decks, and obviously Vex content as well, but I'm going to start focusing solely on Lilia because I really want to break her down in terms of what she does, because she's a very cool card. I just haven't quite figured her out yet. Alright, this is Eternal King signing out. Enjoy the rest of your day.